So since WWDC is now official, we have a ton of leaks regarding possible hardware announcements at the event, and so let's delve into all of this, but first, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours, and with that being said, let's just tuck in. Right, so since we don't get a ton of software leaks before DubDub, obviously a ton of leakers move to hardware announcements we could see at the event. And while this year there's actually a ton of rumours regarding possible announcements, and that begins with the Apple headset. So I'll be honest guys, since we're not fully back to an in-person event, and since developers are only allowed on campus, I do think the chances of us seeing a headset are relatively low. However, Brad Lynch, a VR expert, does have some details on the Apple headset, and why it could possibly release at DubDub. So according to him, WWDC is going to be centered around the M2 chip as the focus for the hardware announcements, and so of course alongside a few M2 Macs, we could see this headset powered by the M2 chip. Brad then goes on to give us details about the M2 chip that we already know about. For example, the codename is going to be Staten, there's going to be 8 CPU cores, 10 GPU cores, the performance cores are called Avalanche, and the efficiency cores are named Blizzards, and all of these cores are going to be based on the A15 chip. So yeah, basically details Gurman gave us a few weeks ago, but Brad does say that we could see a smaller chip in this that handles the sensory data within the headset. And yeah, Gurman also told us this, but Brad does say the chip could be similar to the one in the studio display, so that does mean it's most likely going to be an older A-series chip. Brad also says the headset is in the final stage of the EVT process, that's before manufacturing, and so yeah, this clearly does suggest the release could be somewhat soon. And yeah, Brad does say there's a very good chance the headset could be previewed at DubDub. However, I can see Apple waiting till they have another in-person event for them to release the design of the headset, since I'm sure they want press and media to be there in person to react to it and interact with the headset after the event. So yes, on the whole, I'm still unsure about the release of this headset, but I do very much hope we see it. Anyways, let's now move on to information regarding new Macs. So Mark Gurman pretty discreetly said, we could see support for unreleased Mac hardware with macOS 12.4 that of course recently was released as a beta but could be available to the public by the time DubDub arrives. And while Gurman has mentioned this in the past, he did say a few M2 Macs were being tested with macOS 12.3 and 12.4, so I do think Gurman does still think we could see a few Macs at this event. Now he hasn't specified which Macs these are going to be, but I do think if he's referring to the M2 Macs, those are most likely going to be the base MacBook Pro refresh and also new versions of the Mac Mini. Why do I think this? While the base Pro of course is not getting a new design, it's going to be a pretty easy refresh, and as for the Mac Mini, we do still have the Intel version in the lineup that needs to be replaced, and so Apple could of course either give us the M2 model as a replacement, or release an M2 and an M2 Pro version at WWDC. And for those wondering about the Mac Pro, we do have another source called Bob, who by the way is a relatively new source, so do take this with a grain of salt, but he says, yes, we should see the Mac Pro at this event, and surprisingly this might have a chip that has a completely different name to the M series. And this actually could make sense because some of you guys have said in the comments that releasing M2 and of course the M2 Extreme chip we could see in the Mac Pro at the same event could confuse consumers and would be a pretty odd move. So of course Apple could fix this by using a completely different name for the Mac Pro chip and separating it from the rest of the M series. So yeah, maybe the Mac Pro chip's going to be the X1 or the Z1 instead, but of course the actual cores are going to be very similar to the M2 chip. But yeah, since we're seeing new displays at this event, I do think there's a very good chance Apple does release a Mac Pro alongside that. Also, do remember that Tim at the WWDC 2020 event did say the transition would be over in 2 years, and so ideally there should not be any Intel Macs once DubDub this year takes place. So yeah, for that reason I do think the two main Macs I am somewhat sure we're going to see are the Mac Pro and the Mac Mini. Anyways, those are all the latest rumours guys, but tell me your thoughts on these reports in the comments below. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the link above on details regarding the iPhone 14 series, and on that note I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya peeps.